Welcome to another session of Business Startup Trading. Today we're going to be looking at Dragon's Den and a pitch where ethical company is actually pitching to the dragons, and they want to see how much they can build their company and get it off the ground and actually have a dragon come on board. Like, share, subscribe. Let's get into it. So this company, basically, let's first of all look at the financials of this company, because I think this is quite important. You know, whenever a pitch comes to dragons, it is important to actually understand what is happening in the income statement and, as much as possible, what's happening in the balance sheet, because, you know, without the income statement and the balance sheet, there's no reason to actually make an investment. Now let's look at the first bit of information that we have been privy to in this particular scenario. So the company actually intends to have various small, medium and large companies pay them to ensure that what they're selling is being sourced ethically, which means that if they're having it produced in all over the world, there's no child labor involved. The raw material use is environmentally friendly, etc. So they are kind of subscribing to this ethical ethos, and the company, they would vet various companies and they would pay to ensure that they subscribe and adhere to these ethical standards. Now, when I saw this initially, I thought there's no way this company would get an investment, because I'm looking at it and I'm realizing, in this particular situation, they're basically, there's no name. I mean, they're not known per se, but they have sound background. So I was kind of a bit shocked that they actually had an opportunity to get an investment. But you never know. The world is actually moving forward in an environmentally friendly way. So, you know, it's maybe a no-brainer to the dragons, because of the fact that there's an environmentally friendly ethos as well as an ethical ethos that is actually being pursued by companies now. But from what we can gather in terms of this company, we can see that small brands, they say, would be paying 1,000. Then medium-sized brands would be paying 5,000, and large brands is going to be paying 100,000. Now that's the lower end. So they say, according to them, they hope to make 200,000 in the first year, and they intend to have a loss of 176. So based on my calculation, that means they're going to be spending about 376 in various costs, so that they, in order for them to have that loss. And in the second year, they intend to be making 1,300,000. Also, they're going to have they're going to actually have costs, not a loss, sorry. They're going to make a profit of 170, but their cost is going to be 1,130,000 based on my calculation. Now, if you look at the aggregate of that over the two periods, we can see here that they actually would have a loss overall within the first 2 years of 6,000. Okay, so I mean, a dragon should take that into account. But in the grand scheme of things, if they are prudent in terms of their cost management, they should be able to mitigate or reduce or even eradicate the 6,000 loss over the 2-year period. So I mean, this is a hypothetical situation, so we're not quite sure what the realities are going to be and how it will pan out. Now let's have a look at the first offer. First of all, they came to the den with a valuation of almost 3 million. Okay, so they wanted investors to basically come in. They value their companies at, let's get a figure, 2,916,666, or let's say 67. All right, so that's almost 3 million. And they want to give investors a stake of their company for 70,000. They wanted investors to come in at 2.4, so they're offering 2.4% and for 70,000. Now, as most investors would basically, I mean, more in this instance, the dragons is basically trying to crunch the numbers to say, okay, fine, no, this is 3 million. This company hasn't started as yet. This company hasn't really gotten any traction in the market. They're not known, though they're credible. Is there's a lot of hurdles to overcome. The valuation of this company is not necessarily what we think, or what the owners are proposing is not the current situation. So they say, okay, fine, let's actually drill into it and make another an offer that we think it is worth. Now, Tucker is the first one to actually make an offer, and his offer was he wanted to, because of his experience in manufacturing and all of that thing, he says, okay, fine, you know what, I'm gonna make you an offer of 30%, which values their company at $233,000. So can you imagine? $233,000 is about 2.6 million drop in the valuation. That's a significant drop in the valuation that, you know, I mean, why would anyone want to have that situation? In real terms, if you want to look at it in times, it's 12.5%. 12.5 times rather, in terms of that drop. So a significant one. In terms of the stake, we can see here that's about is an additional 20. So they looked at that offer. The second offer was made by Peter, and he says he's going to come in at 15%, which values the company at 466.67. It's going to also change the valuation generally, so it's going to have a drop in the proposed value of 2.450. So quite significant drop as well. But they're going to have an equity stake of 85% with his offer, and therefore it would be about, let's say, 13% more than they're offering, than they intend to give up. In terms of times, it's about 7.5 times drop in terms of the valuation, which is quite significant. Now, Deborah made an offer, and her offer was the best of the three. From looking at it from the perspective of the owners of the company, so our offer was 10% for 10% for 70,000, which makes the company value 700,000. Now, 700,000 compared with almost 3 million. Yeah, I mean, again, 3 million was a pie in the sky kind of concept. But yeah, let's delve in even further and see what happened. So both Deborah and Peter decided to come together, and when Deborah and Peter came together, they said, okay, fine, we are gonna make a joint offer, and they were happy to share. So they basically came in at 7.5% each. So 7.5% each, which means 35,000 each. So 35,000 each. 7.5%. That means that they're actually sticking with Peter's offer initially of 466.667. Okay, so that's basically what they're sticking with. But then the owners of the company says, we're not happy with this. Let's have a cashback. And then they said, okay, fine, let's have a cashback. Now, if it is that we're able to give you a cashback, then you're gonna drop down to 5% each. They said, okay, fine, they're happy to do that. They'll do a drop in terms of what they're offering. So once 35,000 is paid back, they actually are gonna have 17,500 in terms of the cash, but it's gonna actually change the valuation of the company to 350,000, and they would get a cashback. But you might be saying, oh, this is not very good, but in terms of the investor, is actually excellent, because they're actually getting the company at a cheaper value than others. I mean, I'm sure other investors, if they come in later down the road, they're actually going to be paying more for less, So this is actually excellent for Peter and Deborah coming together. Now, what we can conclude about this, we know when you watch Dragon's Den, investors or owners are actually trying to propose an offer based on the valuation of a company. And here we had this company valued at nearly 3 million. But investors were saying, no, it's not that. And, and when Tuka was saying it's maybe about 200 and something thousand. And then Peter's saying it's about 460 odd thousand, nearly $500,000. And Deborah is saying it's about 700,000. So we can see there's a change in the valuation as the various offer come in. And they were able to agree a figure at 460,000 thereabouts, which would make the company nearly about $500,000 in terms of valuation, and which may drop to 350,000 in valuation as they pay back the actual cash. Now, this is basically demonstrating what takes place in Dragon's Den. I think this was an excellent one. It's, I like this particular episode and I like the exchanges that's taking place here. But for a non-accountant or somebody who is not in finance, you might be struggling with what is taking place in terms of the various figures. We're gonna go through some other exercises and some other activities in terms of various episodes that looks at some of the financials and what is really taking place and some of the decisions that the dragons as well as the investors or the owners have to make right on the spot. I hope you like this. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you.